My name is Gayathina, and in this video I'm going to do the confessions of a Kindle Hoarder tag. This tag was originally created by Julie from the Hungry Bookworm, who is my friend, and that's why I thought I would do this tag. I haven't done a tag in a long time, but I'm trying. I was tagged by Julie, and I was also tagged by Jack from Spread Book Joy. I have my phone here so I can read the questions, and before we start, this is my Kindle, well, the cover and then the Kindle inside. I have a Kindle Paperwhite. Before this I had also a Kindle Paperwhite. I bought that I think in 2012 when it first came out, so the first generation Paperwhite, and it over the years got quite slow and the battery was often empty, and so in one of the recent years I decided to buy a new one. This one also is a lot bigger. The original one didn't have much storage space. Anyway, I'll just get into the questions now first, because that's what the tag's about after all. So, question 1. Be brave. How many books, samples, articles, etc. do you currently have on your Kindle? I don't know on top of my head. I don't have any samples on my Kindle. Yeah, it's mostly books. How can you see how many you have on it? Because my books are organized in collections, and so my homepage is 5 pages, which lists all the collections I have, but and it also lists how many items are in each collections, but many books are in multiple collections, so I don't know how I can tell like the total amount of items.
We interrupt your regular scheduled programming now, because I had a look after filming, still wasn't sure. So anyway, in the end I asked Julie, and as you can see here on the screen in this somewhat blurry picture, it turns out I have 1,094 books on my Kindle, 2 comics, 143 documents. Those are some of the humble books, for example, that I've bought, and 3 short stories and stuff, and 36 collections.
Question 2, samples, yay or nay. Do you use the sample service? And if so, how many samples have you unread on it? So no, I don't use the sample service. What I do on occasion is when I'm thinking of getting a Kindle book, or any book really, is that I will click on the sample on my computer and then scroll through it to see if I think I'll like the writing style. Because if I actually go and read a sample, or an excerpt, which is in a paper book, then I'll just want to read that book, which it happened to me once. So I read a sample of a Kindle book, not on my Kindle itself, but on the computer, because I don't actually use my Kindle to buy Kindle books. I prefer to do that on the laptop, on the computer, because I catalog all the books I buy, so then I can also straight away go into Book Collector, which is a program I have on my computer, to then catalog it. But anyway, so I read a sample of this book and I immediately wanted to read it. Yeah, so it was called The First Day of Christmas by Carolyn Nash, and I read the sample and I wanted to read it straight away, but I couldn't. So then I end up buying it soon when I could and then reading it. So that taught me, don't read samples, but I know many people do, and I'm glad that they are there. Like I said, sometimes I skim them just to check the writing style, but I don't want to read them line by line, because then they'll just make me want to read the book. So 3, do you even remember what is the longest book you have on it, i.e. the one that has been languishing on there, the longest unread? For my Kindle, I got it in 2012. Now I love paper books, more on that later. I'm pretty sure that in 2012, when I bought it, there were a couple of books that I was interested in that I think were ebook only. Maybe short stories or something, but I can't quite remember. And then I got a lot of freebies at the time, because it was my first time, and there are quite a few books on Amazon that you can get for free, classics and things by indie authors sometimes. Also some books that are free temporarily. But what is the oldest that I haven't read? I don't know.
And again, I interrupt the regularly scheduled programming because I looked it up, and apparently the first book that I got was called The Love Affairs of a Bibliomaniac by Eugene Field. This is a classic and was free on Amazon at the time. It maybe still is. And I haven't read it. I think I got it because somebody somewhere recommended it. That would be the answer to this question.
4. Bright and Shiny. What is your most recent book? I thought I would ask my Kindle, but we recently got new internet, and so the Kindle can't actually connect to it yet. So it looks like the 2 most recent books are 2 books that I pre-ordered. Which of these was the newest? So the book that is newest is this one, Kradek the Unbeatable. An Arcana Sword and Sorcery Adventure is book 2 by Sean Inman. I haven't actually read book 1 yet, but Sean Inman is one of the authors that I get in ebook only. Some of his stuff is in paperback, but it's really hard to get and also quite expensive. I think he's an indie author. I've read quite a few of his works, but not any of his recent releases. I actually read a lot more on my Kindle when I was still traveling. So my boyfriend, my partner, is from the UK. He lived in the UK before he moved to the Netherlands to live with me and spend time with me. So I would travel to the UK often and spend time with him. He would travel to the Netherlands. And once he moved here, we went to the UK regularly to see his family. However, we haven't been in a few years now because of several reasons. But when you go on a plane, an e-reader is quite handy. And I traveled to university until I graduated in 2013. So I read a lot of ebooks also on the train and during the holidays, but not as much when I'm not traveling. And I haven't been traveling much the past few years. So yeah. Anyway, so this is book 2 in the series. This is a fantasy series, which is something that he hasn't tried before, because his other books are not fantasy. Yeah, okay, moving on. Question 5, fess up. How quickly do you get around to reading them after downloading? So that really depends. For the books that I get for free, like the freebies, things that are temporarily free or that I happen to find, I'll just get them while they're free, not with the intention of necessarily reading them soon. The books that I buy, it used to be that before a holiday, so like if I knew that my boyfriend and I were going to go see his family in the UK and we'd be on a plane and so couldn't take much luggage, I would generally, just before the holiday, see if there was anything that I wanted to specifically buy for that holiday. I really prefer physical books, so the things I mostly read on my Kindle are short stories and novellas that you don't normally get in paperback by authors that I like to read, like in paper book. And then, so that's something. Then there are 2 authors who I really like, whose work So in the case of the books that I bought just before those holidays, I tended to read them on that holiday. I was talking about those 2 authors, right? So Sean Inman and the other one is Susan Hadler. She writes romances. Those are 2 authors that I think indie authors whose work I buy as an ebook because it is not available as a paper book or not easily available as a paper book. And so because I really like their work, I haven't read either of them for a while because I prefer paper books, and so I don't tend to use my e-reader much. unless I'm traveling, which I haven't been. I pre-order their work because I like to support them. So whenever they have a new book coming out in a while, I pre-order it. Hence why that Sean Inman book was the newest one, and the one before that was a Susan Hadler book. So I just, even though I know I'm not likely to read it soon because I want to read their older books first that I haven't read yet, sort of thing. And although I was thinking of actually rereading some of their books, but yeah, because I like to support them. Yeah, in other cases, it's, yeah, I don't always buy them with the intent to read them soon. But, you know, that's not something that bothers me. You know, if something's on sale, if you see something interesting, I don't buy a lot of Kindle books, to be honest. I buy way more physical books because I prefer physical books. So, yeah, we're just moving now. Question 6, keepers. Do you keep a book on your Kindle after reading it? And if you really enjoyed it, are you in a mind of buying a physical copy of it? So those are actually kind of 2 questions. So I'm gonna answer them in 2 steps. So the first one is, do you keep a book on your Kindle after reading it? So all of the books that I really liked, I keep on my Kindle. Now it is a bit different for when I had my older Kindle, which was running out of space, because I also have some illustrated books on it and some free cookbooks, and so I had, and also some classic collections that were omnibuses that were really big. So anyway, so I was running out of space on there, and what I started to do there was I deleted the books off of it that I didn't like. So they are still in the cloud, but they weren't on my Kindle. And I've kept doing that. So if I read a book and I didn't like it, or if I DNF'd it, it's gone. I mean, I still have it in the cloud, but it's not on my Kindle anymore. But every book that I really liked is staying on there. Because I like that. And also, I would like to reread some of them at some point. So, yeah. At least until we're running out of space, we don't need to like delete the books I like, and I kind of really don't want to do that. With my old Kindle, actually, I started to delete also freebies that I wasn't as interested anymore. For example, I got some cookbook freebies at the time. Yeah, so this is where I have to explain. Amazon NL is relatively new. So in 2012, there was no Amazon NL, and the only way for me to get a Kindle and read English Kindle books was by buying them on Amazon US, so Amazon.com, which is what I did. So I didn't realize, but all of those cookbook freebies, or a lot of them anyway, turned out to have American units, which makes sense when you think about it. But so instead of temperatures in Celsius, they're in Fahrenheit, and all the units for weight are not in grams, but in like ounces, and so that turned out to be not so handy. But you know, those freebies are still, they're not on my Kindle anymore. They're in the cloud, but yeah. And it is only more recently, in the past few years, that we have Amazon NL that also has English ebooks. And before making that switch, I wanted to make sure that they had the ebooks of the authors that I like, so that I wouldn't lose like stuff, because you can't go back. So now I'm with Amazon NL for the ebooks, but before that it was Amazon US. So okay, so I keep the book. If I like the book, I'll keep it on my Kindle. If I didn't like it, then it's generally, yeah. Are you in mind of buying a physical copy of it? Well, I would like that, but I generally try to get a physical copy of a book before I buy the ebook version, if there is one available and it's not too expensive, in comparison with other physical books. So I generally already do that because I only like to have, I mostly read stuff on my e-reader that I can't get as a physical book. So like I said, short stories, novellas. I also have some Humble Bundle books on my Kindle, Humble Bundle has a book bundle now and then, and I bought some of those. Now, some of that is available in paper book, but obviously at a lot more expensive price, so I have that on here. I have a bunch of free short stories on here. I would love to buy actually physical books of the books on here that I love, but in most cases I can't. If I can, I sometimes have, because I do like that. Like, I like to have physical books and I like to see them on my shelves, but it is not financially viable for some of these to do that, and some are they're just not available. So yeah, I kind of wish they were. Yeah. Okay, we're moving on. Question 7. Do you use a subscription service, i.e. Kindle Unlimited, and do you hoard them? Kindle Unlimited is not a thing in the Netherlands, as far as I know. Is it? Well, even if it is, I wouldn't use it. I'm a member of my library, which allows me to borrow physical books, because Kindle is relatively unknown in the Netherlands, or at least it used to be. The library system, you can't read the library ebooks on your Kindle because your Kindle can't do EPUB and such. And I read so little Kindle books that it wouldn't work for me I wouldn't want to pay a monthly amount, and you know, I have enough. I tend to read physical books and I have enough to read. And well, the question is not why do you not, the question is do you not. I don't have a subscription service. I am poor and I am keeping the subscription, so all like bills that are recurring, like also like a monthly subscription, I'm trying to keep all of that as low as possible, and then like, so I can maybe buy more books one month and another month, but everything that is like recurring, I'm keeping that as minimum as I can and feels comfortable for me. Yeah. Question 8. Go forth and multiply. Other places you read your Kindle/ebooks on. Well, my Kindle books that I just buy from Amazon, I almost always read on my Kindle, because I just find that the most comfortable way to read. The only, kind of the exception to that is sometimes the formatting of particularly like illustrated books doesn't quite work, and then I have to read it on my computer on my laptop, which the laptop is behind me, because it just doesn't. And there's one Kindle book recently actually that I tried to read, and the formatting is completely messed up on the Kindle, and it's slightly better on the computer using the Kindle Cloud Reader, but it's hard to read, and I don't really know what to do about it. But yeah, in the sense that the letters of a word just overlap each other. But yeah, most of the time I read ebooks on my Kindle because I find that the most comfortable to read. But the Kindle is in grayscale, so anything that is normally in colors, I generally read on the computer on my laptop, because otherwise you lose that information, or the Kindle doesn't. Some things it won't even can't download to it, sort of thing, because it can't do it. So, but I don't actually like reading on the computer on my laptop much, because it just hurts my eyes after a bit. So anyway, I used to have the Kindle app on my phone, but since I switched from Amazon US to Amazon NL, it just errors that it can't find my account, and so I removed the app. So, not that I read ebooks often on my phone anyway, but there was one book that I was reading, which is 366, I think, really short science fiction pieces. And it happened a few times that I was waiting a few minutes and then I can read a couple of those on my phone, but obviously not anymore. So, not a big loss. I don't know if they have fixed that or what exactly. Yeah, I just removed the app and then I have a new phone since then. So, but question 9 is lucky did. Close your eyes and scroll to your right and pick a book. Tell us what it is and more importantly, have you read it? If not, are you going to? Like I said, I have collections on this, so it doesn't quite work. And also you can't scroll on mine. You have to swipe from left to right and then wait for the page to load before you can swipe again and then wait for the page to load, sort of thing. So that's not quite, I'm not sure how I can do that. So I'm sorry, I have to skip that question. I'm gonna guess, have you read it? I mean, probably not. are you going to? At some point eventually. Those are my guesses what it would have been, but you know. Question 10. Talk about your habit. So any other business? Yeah, so I used to read a lot on my e-reader when I went by train to university in 2012, 2013. And when I traveled with the plane to the UK. And yeah, so I haven't traveled much the past while. So I don't actually read much on my Kindle now. I haven't read that much on this new one, actually. Though I'm glad it is a lot better. I really like that I can read it in the dark. So, like, if I was on holiday and my partner is still sleeping in the early morning, and I'm not because I tend to wake up early, and it's dark and I don't want to obviously turn the light on to read because then I might wake him up, I would read something in my Kindle. What I actually did for those holidays was I would make a new collection for that holiday and then put the books in that I wanted to read that holiday or that I had just bought for the holiday. I like to read like the short stories of authors that I like, for example. So there was one holiday where I read a lot of Brandon Sanderson's short stories, which are now in an omnibus book. Was it called Arcane and Unbounded? But I read a lot of those stories on the Kindle before that book was out. So other than the collections per genre, so I have collections per genre. Then I have collections for some of my favorite authors that I have on the e-reader. So we have Sean Inman and Susan Hadler. And I have one for the Babysitters Club because the English books of the Babysitters Club go beyond what was translated in Dutch. But it is very difficult here to find physical versions of the English ones. So I have a bunch of them on my e-reader that I bought from Amazon. And I also have collections for all those Humble bundles, the Humble book bundles. I have several folders for free short stories. So I have science fiction short stories. I have some Dutch free short stories. This Dutch website, it's kind of like the Dutch Goodreads sort of, did a thing. I think it was it last Christmas or the year before? Anyway, they did a thing where if you logged in the website every single day, then on some days there would be a free short story to read. And most of them were by Dutch authors, I think. So like I have a collection for that. And then I have a collection called New, in which I put like all of the books that I haven't read that are like newer and that I am more interested in reading or something. And I have like a new priority. I don't know what it's called. And I have like for each of those holidays, like, so I have like new for autumn holiday, new for holiday, new for summer holiday, new for winter holiday, new for holiday destination name, stuff like that. Yeah, so some of it could probably be organized maybe a bit better, but hey, you know, do what works for you. I like to organize things in collections, so yeah. I haven't actually bought any Dutch ebooks from Amazon NL. I haven't really explored that section much, but because I prefer paper books, but I'm sure there are, you know, that's worth exploring at some point as well. But obviously, if it was originally in English, I prefer the English. But anyway, I'm rambling now. Let's see if I can show you some of those collections. Well, maybe let's first answer the last question. Don't be shy. Do you have any suspicious books on your Kindle that you do not want people to see you reading? And if so, do you use the Kindle to read it? Hang on. And if so, do you use the Kindle to read on it because you hide the cover whilst reading? No, I don't really read any books like that. So no. I mean, I don't think you should feel ashamed of reading anything. But I generally only read books on Kindle that you can't get as a paper book, or that was like a freebie on Kindle or something like that. So, not for the reason that I wouldn't want people to see the cover. I mean, I am in my house most of the time, so not many people see me reading anyway most of the time. So, let's see if I can show you some collections, just because that's fun. Oh, I don't know. Can you see that? So we have A.C. Buchanan, which is an author. We have Autism, ADD, etc., which is where I put all the books on autism and ADD, mostly memoirs and information books. We have biographies, which is also memoirs. Like I said, a lot of these items are in more than one collection, some are in like 4. So we have Brandon Sanderson, which is for all of his stuff. That's his short stories, but also on his website he had some like extra chapters and annotations and stuff of books that I've read by him, and so I put those on my Kindle as well because I find it more comfortable to read on my Kindle than on my computer screen. So then we have BSC, which is the Babysitters Club. I have a collection called Christmas, which has all of the Christmassy books on it. Then we have contemporary fiction. Then we have cookbooks, which it says no items because they're all on the cloud and not on my Kindle. So, yeah, so generally a book will always go in a genre category, so just contemporary fiction, biographies, and well, the rest is further on. And then it will go, if applicable, in another or multiple. So we have the detective, which is also, I think most of that is like free cozy mysteries. Often indie authors put like the first book of their series for free. And my friend Sarah loves cozy mysteries, so if there's a cozy mystery for free that she liked, she usually lets me know and then I'll get it. Then we have fantasy, we have Hebon, that's the sort of Dutch Goodreads that I talked about, those free short stories. And I think there was actually also a free novel in there. Historical fiction, horror, Humble, that's all the Humble bundle books. Information to new, which is, that is really just part of the information category, but then just the ones that I had just got on at some point, so really that can probably be deleted. But then we have information-free textbooks. So yeah, I downloaded some free textbooks that Amazon had on a variety of subjects, and well, I don't know. Then we have James Potter, which is this fan fiction that my sister gave me once that she liked. I haven't read it. I don't know if I will now since I learned about the whole J.K. Rowling thing. I don't know who wrote this. I'm sure it will sell in the books. But then we have Judith Visser. I love her work, and I also have some free short stories by her. You can read them for free on her website. Then we have literature, which has English classics in it. A lot of those are for free, so they're on here. I don't actually read classics a lot, but when I bought my Kindle, I didn't know that yet. So then I have manga. I have Maria V. Snyder. I have some free short stories by her as well, and also I think one that was paid. That wasn't free on the website. Yeah. Anyway, that doesn't matter. They're all, I think they're part of the series that she's written. So then we have Misc, which is like miscellaneous, so things that have a. I think that's mostly, well, actually, let's just check. Short story collections or anthologies that have more than one genre, like where I'm not sure. I also see some things that I accidentally put in here that don't need to be in here, but that's a problem for another day. It's like on holiday or something, then I can sort that out. Then we have New, that is that collection that I told you about, where I kind of just put a lot of stuff in there that I haven't read yet. Then we have New High Priority, so that's what it's called. Paranormal, I think that's practically all freebies. Puzzle, which has no items in it, but there was once a freebie that I downloaded that would go in that category. Quotes, also not that much in there. Again, 3 freebies in there. Rom-com, there's quite a lot in there. So all of Susan Hadler's book, since they are romance, are in rom-com, as well as in the Susan Hadler category. And then there's also like short stories by a lot of the rom-com authors that I really like. science fiction. Then we have SFF shorts, so that's science fiction and fantasy shorts. So this famous, this booktube channel, I can't remember the name now. His name is Thomas, but I can't remember his channel name. If I figure it out, I'll put it up on the screen. A while ago, he talked about a lot of science fiction and fantasy short stories, and he was reading them and he was linking to them. And some of them were free to read. So that's what that is. I got all the free ones. I put them on there, read some of them, liked others less. Yeah. Then we have Sean Inman, which is all of his books. Then we have some more short story collections. Then we have Susan Hadler, thriller. That's it, actually. I used to have young adult and children's, but I removed those when I had my new Kindle because, well, I didn't have a category named adult, because in 2012 I mostly read adult books. So that's why it started off as that. And so, for example, Babysitter's Club would go into like children's as well as the genre. But then I started to read more of young adult and children's, and I didn't make a category with adult, and so I just removed that. They might still exist in the cloud, I don't know. So by the looks of it, this could do with a little bit more organizing, but you can't make a collection inside a collection. Otherwise I would have done like authors, genres, but that's, you know. I think that was all the questions. Well, I've rambled on long enough. I'm not sure if there's anything else I want to say. Like, I really like physical books. Reading to me is my special interest. You know, I am autistic, I'm neurodivergent. If you are neurotypical, you can't call it a special interest, but it is much more to me than just like a hobby. So for me, the feel of a physical book is really important in the whole experience. To me, reading is not just the words on the page or the words on the screen. The whole physical experience is just like part of it. Like how a book feels, and you know. But I do like the e-reader for traveling, but I can only really do it in like short bits. That's another reason why I like to read like short stories and novellas on it. I wouldn't want to read like a 1,000-page book on it. I actually feel like I read slower on an e-reader rather than a paper book. Could be because I don't find the format as nice. I don't know. So a 1,000-page book would just feel like a long time, and you wouldn't be able to see as easily how far you are in it. But you know, to each their preference, right? I mean, I am glad that we have various ways that we can read, and then people can choose what their preference is, right? I mean, one of my best friends, she reads almost exclusively ebooks on her Kindle. So, like, to each their own, right? So, yeah. And there are also audiobooks. Now, I don't do audiobooks. I can't do audiobooks. I know they help lots of people, and, you know, I'm very happy for you. I can't do them with my disability. I process sound a bit slower than like actual speed sometimes. So with watching YouTube videos, for example, I pause to let my brain catch up and then write a comment. But I can't do audiobooks. That would not work. And actually, I have tried before slowing down a YouTube video to less than times 1 the speed, but that sounds really weird. So don't do it. Anyway, Julie, thank you so much for making this tag, and I hope you liked my answers. I hope I can edit this into a video that's not too long. And thank you very much, my friend. If you're not following Julie already, please do. She is a lovely person. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. I don't really like to tag people, so sorry. But if you want to do it, feel free if you haven't done it. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!